Well, I don't know whether I can tell this straight or not, but I'm trying to think back things that happened down through the last 60, 70, 80 years. I'm 80 years old now, and I can remember back when I was 2 years old, so that's 78 years. And that's several chapters in my book of life. The first chapter was when I was up until I was probably in the 6th grade of school. We moved east of Hagerstown, which is now the golf course. And we, I can remember there that the house was real old, and so the landlord decided to build us a new house, and that summer we moved down in the tool shed, a new tool shed, and lived while they built the new house. Well, that was a lot of fun that summer, watching them build that house. But then we moved into that, and that was a great thing. I can remember that we had a summer kitchen, and Mom that's where we lived in the summertime, and had a cook stove out there, and it's where she did all of her canning and all. And then in the wintertime, of course, then we had to move in the main part of the house. We didn't stay. But anyway, we lived there, and I went to school at the East Jefferson Schoolhouse. And we had to walk. It was about 2 miles. But sometimes the weather would get real bad. But Dad was pretty good to us. He would take us in a horse and buggy when the snow was real deep or real bad or something. We made it all right. And I went through school there till I was in about the 4th grade, I imagine. And then we moved down southeast of Hagerstown and farmed down there. And by that time we had a school bus, and old dilapidated bus. Them days we had to turn around and back up a hill if you get low on gas. But anyhow, we didn't have to walk. So then I went to till I was in the 6th grade, and then we moved up north of Hagerstown. And the 7th and 8th grade, I went to Dalton to school. Well, Dalton was obsolete. And they had a horse and buggy, or a horse and drawn bus carriage-like thing that they hauled us kids to school in. But anyhow, I graduated from the Dalton school. And then it was time for me to go to Hagerstown High School. Well, they had no buses from Dalton Township, no way to haul me from Dalton Township to Hagerstown. So Dad fixed me a horse and buggy and rented me a barn down in Hagerstown. Well, I had to drive, and I took a couple of other girls, neighbor girls, went with me, and we drove a horse. And then I got a job of working in a shoe store of a morning. I'd have to put my horse up, and then I'd have to walk downtown to Main Street and open up that shoe store and build a fire in the old stove and get it warmed up. So when he come to work, I'd walk back up to school. My grandma and grandpa, Dale, lived at Sugar Grove, and we'd go over there an awful lot to visit them. My grandpa was blind, and my grandma smoked a pipe. I can see her yet with that little old tin box and that pipe in it. But we did. And Grandpa had his eyes operated on for cataracts then, and he could see just fine after he had that operation, but he only lived about, just no time at all after that. He never got to enjoy it very much. But anyway, then I graduated, or I didn't graduate from high school. I went on until I was a senior, and in March of that year, I got married. And I would have graduated in another month, but I couldn't wait. I had to drop out and get married. So we had 2 children. They were born near Hagerstown, Max and Lois. And then he got laid off at the Perfect Circle, and depression hit, and we didn't have any job. And So then he got a job working for a farmer over by Greensport, and we moved over there, and Carolyn was born. And then she was born at the Reed Hospital in Richmond. And Mom took care of the 2 babies. So then, that same year, we moved to Ohio, to Weaver Station. And then the Depression really hit. There was just nothing. So then we got a job working for out our rent up north of Palestine, and we moved up there and worked our rent out. I worked around with the day, and I took in washings and ironings and anything I could do to make a dime. Our barn burned while we lived there. I never did know what started. And then we got a job working for another farmer, raising tobacco on the shares, about a mile or so from there. And the day we moved in, the house burned down. The old flue was something the matter with it, and sparks flew out and caught the place on fire. Burnt the house down. So the landlord let us move in their garage until they got us a house to live in. So we lived there till 1942, and we bought the farm where I live now. The barn burned here in 1947. And so then we rented our ground out, and he got a job working in elevators, and I worked around whatever I could find, hung wallpaper and everything else, and took care of all them kids. And then I went to work for G.C. Murphy's in 1960, and I retired from there in 1974. And also I started drawing Social Security. So then from 74 till now, till 1990, I've just lived here at home and sewed, made quilts and crocheted and took care of things and raised flowers and strawberries and anything to make a dime. And then 4 years ago, he got sick, had problems, so he went to the rest home to live in Greenville, the Brennan home. And so the last 4 years then, I've just stayed here and just sort of let time go by. I've got 22 grandchildren, 22 great-grandchildren, and we're expecting another grandchild in June. And that makes, counting all the in-laws and so on, there's 74 of us now in our family. Counting the 7 kids and their families, and that's a lot of names to remember.